Chelsea have agreed a £58 million deal with Southampton for centre-back Romeo Lavia. The deal was worth £53 million plus an additional £5 million, and Lavia was medically completed. The personal terms between Chelsea and Lavia are not the issue. Liverpool agreed a £60 million deal with Southampton for Lavia on Sunday night, but the player has made it clear he wants to move to Chelsea. Liverpool have missed out on Moises Caicedo at Chelsea. The Blues have signed Caicedo from Brighton for a record £115 million. This comes after Liverpool made an accepted £111 million offer only for the 21-year-old to let them know he was intent on joining Chelsea. Chelsea want to bring in two midfielders this transfer window, and talks between them and Leeds United over the signing of Tyler Adams broke down last week after the two sides failed to reach an agreement. Initially, Southampton held on to a £50 million valuation for 19-year-old Lavia. Chelsea made an offer of £48 million last week, while Liverpool have had 3 previous offers rejected this summer. Lavia still has 4 years left on his contract with Southampton after joining Manchester City last summer, but is still expected to leave after the Saints are relegated. Premier League last season. Who will move this summer when the transfer window opens on June 14th and closes at 11 p.m. on September 1st in England and midnight in Scotland? David Washington has all but confirmed his Chelsea transfer after saying his goodbyes at Santos. The 18-year-old forward is set to follow in the footsteps of former teammate Angelo Gabriel, who joined the Blues earlier this summer. The Brazilian youngster could follow a similar path too, with Strasbourg a possible destination for Washington should he head out on loan before the window closes. The striker, who has scored 6 goals in 22 appearances in 2023, is set to join the West London side in a deal worth up to £17 million. Washington confirmed his departure from Santos in a post on Instagram before revealing he was completing a transfer to Europe. However, he stopped short of confirming that Chelsea would be his next destination. He said, Yeah, a holy nation, my first passage through Santos has come to an end. I am very grateful to everyone involved in putting on this heavy World Cup shirt. It's true that I stayed in the professional for months, but I've been in this club since I was 11. I've had many highlights, I won titles, I went through some bad times, but I never stopped believing in my potential. The youngster is still set to complete a medical, while Romeo Lavia is set to undergo the same process after Chelsea agreed a deal worth £58 million with Southampton. The Blues have also triggered the release clause of Michael Olise, though there are still details to iron out in the deal. Crystal Palace have confirmed Michael Olise has rejected the opportunity to join Chelsea and signed a new 4-year contract to stay at Selhurst Park. Chelsea activated a £35 million release clause in Olise's contract at Palace this week and appeared close to completing a deal for the France under-21 forward. However, the Palace chairman, Steve Parish, was determined not to lose one of his prized assets after seeing Wilfried Zaha join Galatasaray on a free transfer and made a concerted effort to persuade Olise not to leave during talks on Wednesday evening. Parish is understood to have been very unhappy with how Olise was approached by Chelsea and was considering making a formal complaint to the Premier League over their conduct. Chelsea have insisted their behavior has been above board. But the news that Olise will stay is a major boost to Hodgson's side, even if the 21-year-old is expected to be out of action with a hamstring injury until at least the end of September. His new contract is believed to contain a minimum fee release clause. Palace, who have so far only signed Jefferson Lerma from Bournemouth on a free transfer, are bracing themselves for Liverpool to follow up on their interest in Sheikh Dukour. Newcastle United are closing on a deal to land Chelsea teenager Lewis Hall. Despite having limited first-team appearances for Chelsea, Hall made a strong impression at Premier League level last term. But he finds himself down the pecking order under new boss Mauricio Pochettino, with the likes of Ben Chilwell, Mark Cucurella and Ian Maatsen in front of him at Stamford Bridge. Newcastle's willingness to pay a significant fee in the region of £28 million for the 18-year-old is testament to his potential, despite the fact the youngster has only 9 matches of top-flight experience to his name. The deal for Hall, an England under-21 international, has the potential to exceed the initial fee in the future, according to Football.London. The move comes just weeks after Pochettino's side had offered Hall, a boyhood Newcastle supporter, a new 6-year contract. Chelsea have spent heavily under the ownership of Todd Boehly, with the Blues keen to raise funds through player sales this summer as well as move on some big earners. Newcastle have been keen to add a new left-back to Eddie Howe's squad and explored a deal for Arsenal's Kieran Tierney in recent weeks. Howe said last week, "I'd love one more player, that's what I'd love personally, and I think then we'd have the ideal depth, but let's wait and see." After months of preparations and planning, Chelsea kickstarted their new era with a 1-1 draw against Liverpool on Sunday. It was the first competitive game of Mauricio Pochettino's tenure as Blues boss and provided the first opportunity to see his new-look lineup. There were a host of new faces on the pitch at Stamford Bridge as the likes of Nicholas Jackson, Axel Disasi, and others made their respective debuts for the club. The Blues have made 7 signings in total thus far and are on the verge of another, with Romeo Lavia close to joining, as they look to bolster their squad this year. And so, here, Mail Sport takes a look at the possible ways Chelsea may line up this year and the players who could still be set to leave the club. After their lucrative spending over the last 12 months, Chelsea now boast an incredibly bloated first-team squad. And, with just 3 competitions in their 2023-24 schedule, there could be a real fight for starting places within Pochettino's side. On one hand, Pochettino could field the following 11: Sanchez, James, Silva, Colwill, Chilwell, Enzo, Caicedo, Sterling, Nkunku, Mudryk, Jackson. It's not too dissimilar from the side that faced Liverpool on Sunday afternoon but, instead, includes new recruit Caicedo, injured star Nkunku, and Mykhailo Mudryk. After splashing out a staggering £222 million on just Caicedo and Fernandes, it seems improbable that they don't partner each other in midfield next year. And many will hope that Caicedo's big money move will turn Chelsea's fortunes around and help them to kick on and secure a place in Europe next season. In goal, it seems as though Robert Sanchez will be their number 1, though there have been rumors that the Blues are still keen on bringing in a new first-choice keeper. The Spaniard secured a £25 million move from Brighton earlier in the window, but not many would have expected them to be their only goalkeeper this season. In defense, the only new face will be Levi Colwill, who returned to Chelsea following an impressive loan spell with Brighton last year. Second possible 11. Incredibly, Chelsea are able, if they wanted, to field an entirely different 11 of first-team players. If he so desired, Pochettino could instead field this team: Bettinelli, Gusto, Disasi, Badiashile, Maatsen, Gallagher, Lavia, Maduk, Chukwuemeka, Moreira, Broja. Although it's a side filled with youth talent, there are still a number of players who could end up featuring